I do like the new music. I love it.
I do too.
Yeah.
We've been playing with it all season, and I
Hmm.
think it's a keeper for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, me
I
too.
will say though, with daylight savings time here in the States, which
Hmm.
means we quote unquote gained an hour, but it gets darker earlier. That
Right.
music kind of is it too mellow for this time of
Hmm.
day? I don't know. I think we
Hey,
can handle it.
and you know what's funny is that like I get that feedback a lot of the music that I listen to. Like this is gonna put me to sleep. I'm trying to like
Mm,
maintain the heartbeat and
right?
the copaestheticness. Like that's where I usually try to live. So I might be the wrong person to ask.
Well, no, I think you're the exact right person to ask because
Mm,
we need tools that help ground us in
yeah.
these times and help us stay centered. And I think
Yeah.
this new theme music really does.
I love
So,
it. And I think about how we like to bring people to the table. I think about our Manifestation Monday table and how we would get our drinks and sit down and like, I've been waiting to talk to the ladies. Let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you where I am with everything. And so I love the energy we get to do that, with every
right?
week. Yeah.
Absolutely. How are you?
I'm so blessed. I've been
Good.
looking forward to the transition of the weather here in New Jersey. We were talking about it before we got engaged, and I was daydreaming about what I wanted it to be like. And I told him we usually come up here in like the Christmas, New Year's time, so I'm used to coming to this beach when it's cold. But moving here is different. And me as a band nerd, those Christmas parades, oh my goodness, my hands would be freezing because, I played open hole flute. So y'all have
Mhm.
gloves. My gloves have cuts in them, okay? Like my fingertips are out so I can keep playing. And by the end of the parade, oh, baby was like
You're
burnt. My hands were
freezing,
burning. They were burning. They were
freezing,
so cold. And so I
right?
said, please give me the opportunity to like get used to the temperature, and thankfully I
Mm,
have all the tools to be ready. I'm over here too bundled up. That's what I realized going into the store today. So that's a beautiful place coming from. I think about what I told you earlier, Shannon, her little $20 Ross jackets, like, baby, you were ready for the fall. Are you ready for the winter? So
right.
it just reminds me of women connected in wisdom and the progression of readiness and preparedness, that I've been working on setting up for myself over my life.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love
What
that.
about you? How are you doing?
I'm pretty awesome. I just got
Good.
back from the desert. I was
Mm,
out near Taos, New Mexico, in a place called Dixon, New Mexico. I was
okay.
out there supporting Sheila K. Collins, one of our
Mm,
Women Connecting Wisdom, one of my
yeah.
co-authors. Well, she's been
Yes.
my co-author now twice, but
Mm-hmm.
her brother had passed away in the
Mm,
summer, and
mm-hmm.
he was this incredible potter, and
Hmm.
he had been so out in this little bitty tiny town called Dixon, New Mexico. There's the Dixon Studio Tour. You
Mm,
have to live within 5 miles of Dixon to be on the tour. There were over 50 artist studios listed. Like,
wow.
I was like, and it's like out in the middle of nowhere. You're like, where are these people? So
Mm,
incredible art, incredible. But he had signed up, even though he had had a cancer diagnosis, he had signed
mm,
up because he loved this community event. And
right.
so when he was getting ready to transition, his sister Sheila and his
Mm,
daughter Heather had said, "We will
mm,
do this on your behalf." And so
beautiful.
we had friends and family come in from all over the nation, helped to get the pottery studio ready, held it open for 2 days, held his
Mm,
memorial in Saturday night. Really,
mm,
the whole 2 days were a memorial to him because people what was so magical about this event, and I'll put a
mm,
link in our show notes to it so y'all can
yeah.
check it out,
Yeah.
but people have been coming to this event for 20 plus years. It's the
Mm,
longest running one. And so
wow.
like 45 years. So they would come by and stop and talk to the artist and buy a piece of pottery. So some of them were just learning that Miles had passed away. Some of
Mm,
them knew coming into it and they wanted to
mm,
come get a piece of pottery and tell his
mm,
family a story about. And there were just
wow.
story after story of his
Mm,
creativity and his kindness, and it was a beautiful thing to witness. It was real and to be a part of. It was just my
yeah.
soul is happy, you
I
know,
understand.
between travel and connections and
Yeah.
doing meaningful work. My soul is very happy.
And like you love art, and you've been looking
Oh,
forward to your art installations,
oh.
Interplay does on behalf of. So you were doing
Mhm.
art on behalf of,
We really
um,
were. Like
yeah.
it checked all the boxes. It really
Oh,
did.
so beautiful. And I wanted to ask you, like, whose memorial are you going to? And we had talked about Sheila's brother and
Mhm.
knew that she was holding space for all of that. So shout
Mhm.
out to Dr. Sheila K. Collins and
Right.
Miles and
And Miles
yeah,
Smith.
and great
Miles
friends who
Smith
traveled.
Pottery.
Miles Smith Pottery.
Right? And
Yeah,
you know me, so I get out there and I'm like, "What do you need?"
yeah, of
And
course.
they were very low tech. And part of it is
Beautiful.
their rules, so
Mm,
they didn't have a lot of good technology and setup, but
mm,
I got them a Facebook page set up. I'm like,
nice.
"We can clue into this." They're like, it
Mm,
was like, "Oh, I can do that. Let me get that
yeah,
set up for you." So I'll
yeah.
put a link to that too for Miles Smith Pottery so you can check out
I love
and
that.
it's and got her set up with a brand new Etsy store. It's not live yet, but
Nice.
I'm like,
Come
"Oh
on.
yeah, that
Yeah,
stuff's
some
easy
income,
for
little
me,"
cash
right?
flow, and it's
Right?
so interesting because it's so important. We were talking with our guest about sorry it's virtual, but I love being virtual. You can reach spaces that you wouldn't be able to in person at the same time. And um it's funny that you mentioned the website. I was voting earlier, well, yesterday. I was going to say earlier this week, but voting yesterday, right? Doing my last minute research that I wanted to make sure I knew my names walking in. And they were talking about how a lot of times people who are running for the board for the education, for the school board, don't have websites. So I'm thinking,
Mhm.
how are we part of the school board and we don't have a website? Like that's easy. So I was like thinking the same thing in the last few days. That's interesting. Yeah, and it
Right?
helps. So you can have that reach and you don't have to try to talk to everybody yourself. They can go to the
Right.
page.
Well, it's
Yeah.
just the world we live in now. Like even if it's a one pager or if it's a way like to be
Mm,
connected so folks can engage with you through social
yeah.
media, I think is important.
And
You know
just
what I'm sitting here thinking?
what? That we should
We haven't
start?
done our official intro. Should we do that so
Let's do
Sati
it.
doesn't take us out on the back end?
Sati. We go with the flow. Okay, yes, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Hey y'all, I'm Shannon Mitchell, a black millennial entrepreneur and Amazon best-selling publisher, author, and all-natural product manufacturer. I'm a champion for your natural self care, sustainable business care, and overall intentional wellness.
Hi, y'all. I'm Christine Gotro, a white social justice advocate, an international speaker, coach, best-selling author and publisher, and dancing social worker who helps you upgrade your self and community care.
Together, we are a podcast rooted in the 8 dimensions of wellness and the co founders of Women Connected in Wisdom Community.
And we like to get together every week with special expert guests for intentional conversations about how to be wise in business, relationships, and wellness. How do we do
hmm
this?
Oh
How do
my
we do it?
goodness. And I'm so excited to have this conversation about physical wellness. When we talk about um, like no sugarcoating it, two things come up. One, the sugar scrub that I did need to use this week and me getting back into my rhythms and like what if you do sugarcoat it? What if it's the exfoliation? But we got to keep our guest podcast like she has a podcast, she has all these resources for you. She's going to keep her title, but I was
Right.
thinking about actually sugarcoating my body, right? Um and then the sugar I'm taking off the list, right? The holidays are coming
Mhm.
up. We're supposed to be stopping eating whatever you want. And bacon was on the list this morning. I thought I was taking that off 2 weeks ago. Like, what are we doing with the list that we're supposed to be on consistently for maintaining our wellness, right? And what are we about to allow and say yes to at the end of the month with the holidays coming up? So I've been thinking about sugar in a couple of different ways.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been thinking I'm excited to have this conversation too because I've been traveling
Yeah.
and traveling used to because I didn't travel that much. Travel was
Mm,
kind of a open you got to do what you wanted.
that
And
makes
then
sense.
I've traveled so much the last couple of years my
Yeah.
body's been like, "Hey girl, like
Yeah.
that's not that now travel is normal and your routine. So I need you to please
Mm,
pay attention to this."
yeah.
Um well, and it always I get so excited when like I was in a place like Taos, New Mexico. I wasn't far
Mm,
from there. So we went in there when there's options for me because I'm
mm,
gluten free
yeah.
and there's things my body is really not a fan of.
Mm-hmm.
And and when there's really good options, I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh." I
Okay, so
think
let
that's
me
why my
see.
soul's so happy too. Like, I had the
Uh,
best homemade gluten-free bread I think I've ever had in my life.
okay.
And I was like, "Okay, whoa, this
Yeah.
is good."
Yeah. I love good bread. Yeah.
Right? I think well, yeah, I think that's a given. I think it's
Yeah.
rare that we would find somebody that doesn't love good bread, right?
That's a good point,
Maybe,
actually.
maybe,
That's a
but
good point. Comfort foods, right? That's what we're talking about. And even bread
right?
turns to sugar in your body. And it's like, what are we gonna do with this? But again, this conversation is not really based on sugar. This is talking about no
Mm,
sugar coating it, right?
right? And
Emotional
physical
eating,
wellness,
right,
yeah.
and gaining body freedom. And that's so
I
huge
love
when we
that.
talk about maintaining our
Well,
wellness.
how about I talk to our listeners about what we say physical wellness is,
Yeah,
and then we bring up our guest. You want
let's
to
do
do
it.
it? Let's
Yes.
do it. So, Women Connected in Wisdom, our definition of physical wellness is the ability to maintain a quality of life that allows you to thrive in your daily activities without undue fatigue or physical stress. Physical wellness recognizes that our daily choices, habits, and behaviors have an impact on our overall health, well being, and quality of life. I think when you
Yes.
popped out earlier, Shannon, for our tech
Hmm.
check, I was
Hmm.
telling our guest about I had a body doubling session with one of my mastermind partners earlier
Yeah.
today.
Hmm.
And we did a sprint of 30 minutes. And then we're like, what do we need? Do we need to
Hmm.
stretch and do eccentrics or do we need to go stand in the sunshine? And we were
Hmm.
both like, oh, we need to go stand in the sunshine. So
Yeah.
we took a 10-minute physical wellness break and just went and
Yes.
stood in the sunshine and of course
Hmm.
took pictures of the gorgeous fall leaves to send each
Hmm.
other. But
Love it.
it was so incredible.
I love it. That
What
reminds
about
me
you?
of
What stood out today in that definition?
today was the daily choices. And I'm
Hmm.
remembering this story I tell of the gummy bear. And how I feel like I look like a chocolate gummy bear in my passport picture. Y'all, I didn't even know that I had gotten here. And it was late after a shift. I'm a floor manager this day at Papado, I'm sure, with what I had on and like where I was. So that means it's a long shift. I've done a lot. I needed my passport. I was going to Costa Rica for my birthday. And I get the little picture. I'm like, this is what I look like right now? That's crazy, but even this year, as I was speaking about this moment and sharing this and sharing physical wellness and Shayla Glow with Paul Mitchell, the Paul Mitchell students, I realized I'm going to go ahead and say it. I realized when I told the gummy bear story, right? And I accidentally looked at the biggest student in the room and I said, "Ooh, she might think that I was talking about her." And I just looked at the next person that was closest to me, right? And I realized that if she thought that, it was a little harsh. And I realized in that moment that I was making sure I had enough space for my audience, that maybe I should have made more space for Shannon when I was telling that story. That's kind of harsh for you to say that way about yourself.
Hmm.
So like even this year I'm still working with like how I think about it. It's easier for you to have space for other people, but you're still saying this story this way to yourself. Like, can we have some more self-compassion like Dr. Cynthia Phelps talks about.
Hmm.
Um and so when you talk about the definition before we go into our expert and bring her up here, the daily habit of eating gummy bears after the shift. That's what I was doing on those nights when I wasn't taking my passport pictures. I was eating gummy bears with my ex, and he was bigger. He was the guy I dated that looked like a teddy bear, and so these were his daily habits, and they were becoming mine. And so that's when I started being like, I love juice, I love chips, but it doesn't need to be in my place. It doesn't need to be in
Hmm.
the apartment. Why? Because I won't have it. Why? Because I eat them the first day I get them. They do not
Hmm.
last the whole week, okay? They do not last 2 weeks. They're gonna be gone that night, and the fruit and the salad might go bad. And so when we talk about physical wellness, that's what I think about, like the environment that I intentionally set up to keep
Hmm.
myself where I want to be during the holiday season and not during the holiday season.
Well, I'm excited to have this conversation with our guests because,
Yeah,
these stories and these things are so prevalent in our community and in our world and in our media and the way we were raised. And I just can't wait to hear her
yeah.
input on this about how can we be kinder to ourselves and how
Mhm.
can we really work on this freedom. So you want to read her
Absolutely.
bio and bring her up?
Yes, let's do it. Let's do
Let's
it.
do it.
Okay, y'all. Today our guest is Amber Romaniuk. Did I say that right, Amber? Amber Romaniuk? Kind of. Is it Romaniuk? Is that better?
There we
Okay.
go.
Okay, y'all. Amber Romaniuk is our guest today. Amber Romaniuk is an emotional eating, digestive, and hormone expert with 11 years' experience helping high achieving women create a level of body confidence, intuition, and optimal health through powerful mindset healing, self care, and overcoming self sabotage with food. She does this through addressing the key negative thoughts, patterns, and limiting beliefs that keep women stuck in the same behaviors for years and decades that they haven't been able to break. Her podcast, the No Sugarcoating podcast, has 1.9 million downloads, over 500 episodes, and is listened to in over 88 countries. Amber overcame her own emotional eating after gaining and losing more than 1,000 pounds and spending over $50,000 on binge foods and spending 5 years balancing her hormones and digestion. She also dismantled her deep limiting beliefs and behaviors, keeping her stuck in the same looping patterns. Now she helps others achieve the biggest healing miracles of body freedom so they have the confidence and health to create amazing lives. Help us welcome to the stage Amber Romagnac.
Hello,
Hi, Amber.
ladies.
Hello, Amber. I'm
Welcome.
so
Hi, thank
excited to have
you.
this conversation with you.
Me too. Thank you for having me. And side note, the intro music, 10 out of 10.
Oh, yay!
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
thank
hmm
you.
hmm
you.
I
That's
was
Yay.
loving it.
big. Yeah,
Okay,
and that's
good.
big, especially with your experience in podcasting. I was listening. Congratulations on 10 years.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing. That's in episode 618, y'all, if y'all want to go listen. And I know Amber just came on, so you don't know how amazing she is yet. But Amber, I wanted to start with the congratulations on 10 years
Thank
to
you.
make sure
Mm.
that we said
And
that. So,
we know how much work that is, friend.
yeah, we do.
Yeah, it's such a passion though to just hit record and share
Yeah.
from your heart and
Yeah.
like just
Mhm.
be yourself. Podcasting is such an incredible way to do that and to connect with other amazing women in community. Like this is so amazing that we get to connect here and have these conversations. This
Mhm.
is how we help heal the planet.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you talk about healing and podcasting, actually, and I wasn't going to ask you this question, but could we talk more about that? Because Christine and I bring up how it helps to remember the importance of the work you do. And we talk to a lot of people who want to start podcasts. We also know some people think you're just talking. You talk a lot. This sentence right now is long, right? Like, I don't want to listen to all that talking. But why do you see that it's relevant and necessary as somebody who's been doing it for 10 years?
Yeah, because it's a very powerful outlet to share your heart with the world, to be vulnerable, to share your experiences, to observe the habits and patterns and the similar things I see my clients struggling with that then I can talk about in the show, to let others know they're not alone. They don't have to go at this alone. They don't have to feel the shame and the guilt and the embarrassment for these habits and behaviors and the unworthiness that they're carrying as a burden that doesn't have to be yours to bear. And I think that like connection. You can connect with someone in a show. I have so many women that reach out to me. They're like, I just found your podcast. I just listened to an episode. I'm like crying. I feel like you're sitting with me, talking to me. And I
Wow.
just feel like you get it and you've been there. And how can I get your support? Like it just the way you can move somebody is so significant. So I just think it's such a powerful outlet to connect with people on such a deep emotional level and provide education and inspiration for change.
Mm, thank you so much for sharing. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I want to kind of dive right in
Yeah.
because in that intro, in your bio, when you talk
Hmm.
about hormones,
Hmm.
and you talk so I have this question. I know a little bit because we've talked ahead of time, but when you think about healing emotional eating and gaining body freedom, tell us, what do the hormones have to do with it?
What do they not have to do with it is the
Right.
question, really. Like, okay, so first off, we have not been properly educated on our hormone health as women, even men. Like, no one's been properly educated,
Right.
whether it's through your cyclical years, you have PMS symptoms, you have PMDD, where there's a huge mood shift component through your ovulatory and luteal phase, which is like kind of the second half of your cycle. You're in perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. Those are just other factors aside from the fact that if you have been in any form of feeling unworthy, you have been a people pleaser, or you are improving or perfection or all or nothing mentalities. You're an emotional eater, you're a binge eater, you're in the binge purge cycle, you have a food addiction, a sugar addiction. you have been fighting with your body and food, battling with the number on the scale, diets, restriction, like all of these habits and behaviors that are birthed from unworthiness. And like Christine was saying earlier, like the media and all these external contributors that have like conditioned us to be at war with our bodies, these fuel hormone imbalances like crazy. And this is where truly no amount of like nutrition or supplementation, you can't supplement your way out of a hormone imbalance that is rooted in unworthiness or people pleasing or emotional eating. And I think that's a huge miss in the hormone community is yeah, take these hormones, take this supplement. And yeah, there's a place for all the things to support, but it's like 5%. And in my 12 years of experience coaching thousands of women, it's these deep rooted behaviors that must be addressed and worked through slowly to regulate the nervous system that are going to help you heal your hormones. When I was struggling with binge eating in my early 20s and food addiction, bulimia, I went through everything I help my clients with. After I stopped those behaviors, my hormones were so stressed out that I was postmenopausal at 24. 24 years old. I had no progesterone. My
What is
cortisol was through the roof. Yeah.
what is
Wow.
okay, so and I was going to ask you, what does that mean? So you were listing specifically. Can you start with the list again?
Yeah, totally. So often, what happens when women are through perimenopause into menopause and post is you see extremely low progesterone. It's pretty much non existent. Extremely low estrogen. Actually, in my case, mine was too high, but that was because of other things. I did go through a period of low estrogen as well before that. So, low estrogen, low progesterone, those are your sex hormones. Really high cortisol, which is your stress hormone. Hypothyroid, which means your thyroid is sluggish and your thyroid and metabolism are very connected. And so, if your thyroid is sluggish, your metabolism is sluggish. And then, like, my testosterone was low, all my blood sugars were really high, my insulin. And what was so interesting about that whole experience was I knew nothing about hormones yet. This is me like trying to figure everything out as I go.
Right.
I stopped binge eating, and the irony was I gained 80 pounds. And it was
Wow.
because of all of those hormone issues, the inflammation, my gut was a mess.
Yeah.
And there
Mhm.
was a whole concept of learning how to listen to my body and connect with her and help her feel safe. Because there's still this
Mm.
rhetoric in my mind of like, I need to exercise to lose weight and I need to go to the gym 5 days a week and I need to go first thing in the morning. And that was actually messing everything up more and causing more and more weight to come on. And once I quit the gym and really focused on understanding my hormone health,
Mm,
connecting more deeply with my body, supporting my hormones holistically in a few different ways, and like resting, it fell off. I did
mm,
Mm.
not diet. I didn't exercise my way out of it. I honored my body and what she needed. And I think that's one of the biggest things that women don't trust. And they think, I need to lose weight. I need to work out more, diet. And that just messes your hormones out more. So, yeah, that was the postmenopausal hormone experience in my early 20s that then I balanced. But hormones are very delicate and they can shift really easily.
So I'm hearing you that you led with your hormone health. And in my brain, while you're talking, here's where my brain is like, okay, so how do we figure that out? Especially for a lot of our listeners are in the United States.
Mhm.
Like, what do they ask for? Is it a hormone like, tell us the logistics. Like,
Yeah.
how do we figure this out? How do
Yeah.
we know? Because I already know my cortisol lately has been like, whoa. My
Yeah.
body's been like, hey, girl, settle down.
yeah.
Totally.
We got 3 weeks. It's coming. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll talk logistics and then at some point in the episode, if you want me to talk about some of the most common hormone imbalances I see in women and some of the symptoms.
Yes, please.
Yeah, totally. So there's like three approaches, okay? And then I'll talk about some of the testing. The first approach is you try to approach your doctor or your family physician for testing. Now, this is where things can get a little muddled, okay? In my experience, half the time, the doctor will not order all the tests. If you have an amazing doctor that orders all the tests, amazing. But here's the first potential block you may or may not experience. So be ready to express the symptoms you are feeling that you're like, this is part of hormones. I know it is, even just, I did a little research, but you got to lay it on thick or they will not test. Some of your doctors might be very open to doing testing. So you've gotten through the first hurdle, they give you a requisition. I'll talk about tests to ask for right away. The second hurdle is unfortunately here in North, it's actually worldwide. The ranges for lab testing are too big. So the next block of what tends to happen to a lot of women is you get your results back. Your doctor takes a quick scan through, even sometimes when things are flagged. They're like, everything's normal, you're fine. It's all in your head. So there's the next block is the ranges are too big. There's a much smaller functional range that is normal. And all of my colleagues agree with me, man or woman, doctor or naturopath, doesn't matter, that there is a smaller functional range. So if you are not, oh, go ahead.
Can we go, and maybe you were going to say if you were not something, but can we talk about when you say range, I think about the number of people in the research study, and then are you talking about the range of the symptoms? What is the range, and what do you and your colleagues that agree with you find is the healthy range to look at?
Mhm. So I'm talking about the actual range of each test. So as an example, cortisol, the range on cortisol
Okay.
in right, like in United States is like 6
Hmm.
to 19. That's so big.
Okay.
10 is normal, but then they're not going to look at it until you're above a 19. You're in a severe adrenal fatigue if you're at a 19 or above,
Mm.
right? So unless you're really flagging outside of the normal ranges, they'll just be
Hmm.
like, yeah, you're fine. It's not your cortisol levels. And so that's the problem is the ranges are too big. And what's created the ranges is that they've
Mm.
based it off of some of the most unhealthy populations in North America and made those
Mm.
the ranges, and the ranges keep getting bigger. Same with here in Canada. It's no different.
Okay.
So does that help answer that question?
So what I hear you saying is that if we're talking about, you said the range is from 6 to 19.
Hmm.
One, finding out what is the normal range in the hormone that we're talking about, because it's
Hmm.
going to be different, right?
Yeah.
What is normal? And then knowing for ourselves that the range that's presented might be too big, and to still anchor in this is my experience, and my experience, these are the symptoms, to make sure that that is not ignored. And outside of that, my next question would be, okay, what does that number look like? Where is mine at for each hormone? And then what do we need to do after that?
Yeah.
Am I
And
in the right
that's
space?
Yeah, and that's going
Okay.
to really be a little bit dictated by where you
Mm.
are in your life cycle. Are you
Yeah.
still cyclical? Are you perimenopausal, menopausal, post?
Okay.
Um, what's your lifestyle? There's different factors. Have you had to take steroids because those skyrocket cortisol and like there's
Mm.
certain things that are going to throw your hormones off that's going to take time to regulate. So the block is that most doctors do not believe in or learn that functional range. So to
Mm.
go to them and be like, I know a 10 is, and they're gonna be like, well, where did you learn that? Like, this is
Mhm.
what right? So be prepared if you're told that everything's fine, it's all in your head, but you're like,
Mhm.
I know it's not. I'm having these symptoms.
Mhm.
I don't feel like myself. Trust
Mhm.
your intuition.
Mhm.
Ideally, you're going in, you're getting a second opinion, a third opinion, and you're meeting with people who are going to really advocate, that really know how to read the results and are going to give you answers correlated to your symptoms and actually thoroughly assess your health. That's what you all
Mm.
deserve rather than being shut down. So these are some of the steps that are important for you to understand. And maybe you don't have any of that. And it's like you get the results, they're very thorough, which I hope happens for you. But I've just
Mhm.
had a lot of horror stories. And so I like to forewarn
I
the
love it.
listeners. Yeah.
I love that.
Well, and how is it in Canada? Because I think it's about the same as it is in the
Yeah.
United
It's
States
no
about
different.
how we don't have a lot of research for women's health.
No, it's
Like,
the same
we are
here.
just in the last couple of years starting to talk about perimenopause or
Hmm.
menopause. Like,
Yeah.
and then the research hasn't been well funded or well studied for what in actuality would help.
It's no different
So,
here. They don't even
okay,
test vitamin D routinely. You have to like beg
ask
to get
for it.
vitamin D on a
Yeah.
requisition form.
Mm.
Yeah.
All
It's
right. So I
interesting.
want to hear what you recommend that we test for hormonally because I got a
Mhm.
doctor's appointment scheduled in a week and I'm taking notes.
I love
Okay,
this.
well, are you ready to make a long list?
I am.
Okay, yeah. And if anyone misses the list or wants me to email it to them, you can pop me a message on Instagram or email me and
Please.
info@amberproof.ca and I can provide it to you. So we have things like your morning cortisol. And what we have to know, ladies, is these tests are time sensitive. So your rule of thumb, if you're in your cyclical years, you're going before 8 a.m. fasting day 19 to 21 of your cycle, unless you have a really short period and it's like 21 days and you go like day 16 or day 15. But day 19, 21, fasting before 8 a.m. because cortisol is time sensitive. Then we have progesterone. Estradiol is technically estrogen, but
Hang on
estradiol.
before we go further. What if you're
How?
menopausal?
Oh,
When
yeah.
should
So
you be
then
going?
So then if you're done having a
Asking for a
period,
friend.
yeah, if you're done having your
Sorry.
period, you're going to go before 8 a.m. fasting, but no
Okay.
specific time of the month. If you're
Okay,
in
got it.
perimenopause and you're still cyclical, even if you're a regular, try to aim for day 19 to 21. If you're like, I haven't had a cycle in 2 or 3 months, well, if you have a period tracking app, if you don't, I suggest you still get one and look back to where your last cycle was and like count in 28-day increments or 30-day increments. And that will give you a good read. But progesterone, estradiol, DHEA, testosterone. So those are going to be your sex stress hormones. And then we have things like vitamin D, vitamin B12, electrolytes, cholesterol lipid panel, your complete blood count, iron, ferritin, magnesium, C-reactive protein, which is an inflammatory marker. Um, and then we start looking at things like your thyroid function, which is incredibly important. Thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH, T3, T4. That's a base. But if there's any issues with those, then I want to rule out things like Hashimoto's, which is the autoimmune condition, which we have to do a thyroid antibodies test for, a thyroid globulin test for. You may be having trouble converting your thyroid hormones, so we can do a reverse T3 test. So I know it might sound a little bit like gibberish, but there's quite a few things that we can look at. And if, again, you cannot get all the information or answers, work with someone and be willing to invest some money in yourself and be willing to purchase some of the testing. We've normalized buying $1,500 iPhones and having a $50 a week Starbucks habit, which whatever floats your boat, but like be willing to see the value in investing in yourself if you can't get all the answers, because I provide all the testing to my clients now because I couldn't
Mm,
get half the answers. I'm like, enough is enough. We're just putting in
right.
your program. Here's everything. Go get your requisition, go to the lab. Let's make it easy and we can go through everything together. So we
I
just don't
love
want to
that.
miss any vital information because, as an example, so many women are walking around with a thyroid issue. Here's the stat: women are 60 or 8 times more likely to have a thyroid issue than men, and 65% of those thyroid imbalances are going undiagnosed and undetected. And part
Oof.
of that is because the normal ranges are too big for thyroid. And because a doctor routinely, when you go for your physical or you ask for hormone testing, they will put thyroid stimulating hormone TSH on the rec if you're lucky, and none of the other tests. And then even if it's off, I just had a client, her TSH was 491. It should
What's
be
the
like
range?
one
Wow.
point seven to 1.75. And her doctor didn't test for Hashimoto's, didn't do anything else. It's just like, take this. There's nothing
Gotta
we can
take
do.
something.
That's
Nothing.
it. That's
Holy
not good
geez.
enough.
It's
Yeah.
not good
Right?
enough. That's why
No.
we're here. That's why we're having
Yes,
this conversation.
exactly.
Not good enough. And so I love that you include that for your clients.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
My
And
pleasure.
and I've been saying this since college. When I was working with a naturopathic doctor and like I was their first employee making a lot of stuff, kombucha, sauerkraut, dried stuff, and cereal for Whole Foods. But I've been telling my friends that it might feel expensive now, right? Organic feels expensive compared to non-organic. You know what is less expensive than? Hospital bills
Yeah,
and all this
exactly.
other stuff. So if you're struggling, we talk about self-compassion and how, I was just talking about how I talk to myself, right? If you still, I hear you, Amber, invest, that sounds like it's too far for you, like you're not worth it. Just remember, the hospital bill will be more. It's better
Yep.
that you do it now instead of after a stroke.
Hmm.
Now instead of after something else and your body sits you down, you know? So I would love to give a number to shop budget. How much does it usually cost somebody?
Hmm.
Let's say if they have to pay out of pocket to run
Yeah.
all of it. What's the biggest number that they might see?
Yeah. So if we're doing the full meal deal of everything I
Mm-hmm.
just shared, it's usually about
Absolutely.
500 USD. We
Oh,
can
that's
always
not
start.
bad.
Yeah. And we can always start with an intro thyroid and sex stress hormone panel. And that's about like 200 to 250. But
Okay.
ideally, we want like the whole thing. Oh, and I didn't mention blood sugar. So we do insulin, glucose,
Important.
and hemoglobin A1C. Those are really important for women
Okay.
to get tested and men too. So yeah, so about 500 USD. And that gives us pretty much the full picture,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is incredibly important. So, your thyroid function, your sex and stress hormones, your blood sugar, cholesterol, your blood cell health, and the
Mm-hmm.
key inflammatory markers, vitamins, and nutrients that we want to see. Um, you know, and we can talk about perimenopause, but as you go into that, like we need to be monitoring this stuff because, like you just said, Shannon, like this is how you prevent
Mm-hmm.
heart stuff and stroke stuff and like
Yeah.
osteoporosis. Like we need to see these levels so that we can help keep them to a most balanced level as possible, bring down any excess and bring up the deficiencies, because we can prevent so much if we can monitor our hormones regularly and address the root causes of what are causing those hormones to go out of balance in the first place.
So when you say regularly, what does that look like? Is this with the annual exam? Is it biannually? Is it every quarter that you should maybe space out the test after you get the initial panels on everything? What would you
Yeah,
suggest?
that's a great question. So, for women who are in their 20s and 30s, I say at least once a year. If you have specific hormone issues that you've discovered, like a thyroid issue or low progesterone, I would say every 6 months, unless you're like, quarterly this year feels good.
Mm-hmm.
As you get into perimenopause, at least twice a year, if not every 3 or 4 months,
Mm-hmm.
especially the things that are off. The things that are looking good and staying good, once a
Nice.
year, twice a year max. But
Mm-hmm.
again, if we're monitoring something like low progesterone, high cholesterol, high cortisol, a thyroid issue, we want to be, especially if it's quite out of whack and
Mm-hmm.
you're not feeling too hot, we want to monitor a little more regularly to see that the recommendations and protocols are helping you and to see those lab results back up that you're feeling better. And then once things regulate more, once to twice a year is totally, yeah, unless you feel off, then go
Yeah.
All
again.
right. So, Amber,
Okay.
my ears perked up when you said cholesterol. Are
Yeah.
hormones also affecting cholesterol?
Yes. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
talked about at
Not, I mean,
all.
that's why it perked up because I'm
Mhm.
like, wait a second, give me the tea on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So we're told it's the egg yolks and it's the meat. And in my opinion, it's actually not those things. It's the seed oils and the sugar and the processed things that cause inflammation. So there's a couple things here. So, from an inflammatory standpoint, if I'm constantly consuming things that are inflammatory, that inflammation stresses my body out. And as soon as I'm in a stress response, my cortisol is going higher. That's your stress hormone. And the higher my cortisol gets, and the more stress my body is because of inflammation, the more like sticky and warm and slow my body gets. So, if we're looking at cholesterol, we make cholesterol in the body, right? It's something we actually make. But when you have inflammation because of highly processed food intake or high stress, because the cortisol is high, it slows your liver function down and makes your liver sluggish. And you need your liver to function optimally to help break down excess cholesterol, whether it's the good stuff, the LDL, or your overall cholesterol read. So I see so many women of all different ages, even like 30s, 40s, it doesn't matter. If your cortisol is high and you have inflammation in the body, you see the sluggish liver, and then we see a slower breakdown of cholesterol. Or if you're constipated, which thyroid issues, low progesterone, high cortisol can all contribute to that. You're constipated, you're reabsorbing toxicity if you're not going number two every day. And that also causes the cholesterol levels to go up. So, specifically as well with the thyroid. So, if the thyroid is sluggish, it's called underactive hypothyroid is the sciencey term, which that's what 95% of the population has is would be a hypothyroid issue. And so when the thyroid is sluggish and not optimally producing thyroid hormones, and the brain's overstimulated from stress and actually producing too much thyroid stimulating hormone, this slows our metabolism down. And the slower our metabolic rate, the more sluggish our digestion. This is a root symptom tied to constipation. Hypothyroid and constipation are like best friends. So if you have a constipation issue, you've got to get your thyroid tested and see if there's something going on there. But just like I was saying, because this causes a sluggishness and a slowdown, both constipation and that sluggish liver shoot up the cholesterol because your body is not able to break down and eliminate regularly what it needs to while it continues to produce it. Yeah. So those are some of the connections.
This has been so good. I
Yay.
want,
So,
what were you going to ask, Christine?
well, I want to know, what do you do?
Yeah.
Like,
So
what if you are that person? If you're listening to this podcast and you're hearing that, like, whoa, that's me, right? There were a
mhm,
few things that you said that was like, oh, that could be me. I might need to check it
mhm.
out. But if somebody's listening and they're like, that's me, Amber, what do I do?
How long do we have to do
Right.
this interview? I'm just kidding.
We got
Um,
We
all
got
the,
about
look, we
15
got,
right.
minutes left,
yeah.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the condensed version.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I'm all about root cause healing. So we have to look at you as a whole picture. So we need to do the testing. We need to do a full health assessment. We have to look at your gut function. Are you having daily bowel movements or are you not? Are you hydrated? How are you eating? Because if you're eating a lot of really inflammatory processed stuff, or you're emotionally eating and binge eating and then those cycles, we have got to address those things to help balance the cholesterol. Likely, you're also going to need some form of liver support. And we can add in plant sterols, which actually help bind and pull excess cholesterol out of the body. Flax, chia, hemp, any purple fruit or vegetable, heck yes. All the antioxidants. And there's a lot of foods that have kind of those plant sterol fibrous effects, but the double-edged sword is for the women that are always bloated. To try and add more fiber is not the answer, and we have to take some of these other approaches. And we also need to get the bowels moving daily. So if you have a thyroid issue or the high cortisol or whatever it is that's contributing to sluggish bowels right now, we may have to use things like a probiotic or a magnesium to just help get things moving daily while we sort these things out. And then you won't need the magnesium anymore to help move your bowels. It'll just be like, it'll go back to normal. But we've got to get the bowels moving daily to get the toxicity and the excess cholesterol out. So those are some of the things that we do, but we have to see where everything is at, because if you're just told your cholesterol is high and you're put on a medication and nothing else is done, like that is, to me, and I even saw a video the other day of a doctor talking about this, and he's like, that's malpractice. There's so much we can do from a behavioral standpoint, a nutrition standpoint, a hormonal standpoint.
Besides just printing out the 3 pages about what you should eat is like what they give us in the 1st grade.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's what my
Mhm.
experience has been. I'm like, "Huh, I already know this, and I already do this, but
Mhm.
okay."
It's
So
deeper.
much more.
And if
Right?
your liver has to filter through everything your whole life, so your liver probably needs some love. Your
Mm,
liver gets
Yeah.
so overburdened,
mhm.
right? So there's just so many
Love
factors
your
for us to
liver.
look at.
That may be my
Yeah.
hashtag for
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
You heard the moon. I was thinking about it too. So, Amber, I hear what you're saying, right? And I was gonna say earlier, like the nerd in me is loving all the numbers, the percentages. Like, tell us exactly what it is. Like, this is again was usually skipped. I mean, say, oh, go run some tests, but if you don't have that list, go ahead and rewind it back to Amber's list and listen to it as many times as you need to, right? Put it in whatever translator thing you need to get the whole list. And hopefully after that it won't be gibberish, right? But I heard what you said earlier too, and I, in my experience, agree with how when you switch your focus, sometimes the weight you said it fell off. Like y'all,
Mhm.
she didn't say she had to focus; it fell off because everything just clicked in where it was supposed to be.
Mhm.
And for me, that was the way I was thinking about it, the way I was thinking about myself, and choosing to start with more self respect, which meant me holding my no. When I said, Shannon, you go into this kitchen at work, you're not going to get none of those fries. You're going to keep going. And day
Mhm.
one, I kept going. Day two, I kept going. And soon I was bringing my lunch to work. And soon I'm on, training trips. And I take my lunch even out of state now. You can't stop me from
Yeah.
having my $1 million bag. That's what I call a lunchbox.
Heck yeah.
But I want to talk about where you were with these self limiting beliefs. Where was Amber when she was back in these cycles and was
Mhm.
holding on to weight and these 1,000 pounds that we've been fluctuating back and forth? Because they can do the test. And if they
Yeah.
go back into this environment that tells them they're unworthy and they believe that, they go to these doctors who ask them why their female reproductive systems are so important to them. Why is this important to you? You might walk out of that room feeling a little different. Like how do we um, take them from where they usually find you when they know they need you and need your help and your services to the self care and self confidence that
Mhm.
we have when we keep these things consistent?
Yeah, yeah, totally. And that self-talk was like, I'm ugly, I'm not good enough, I'm unworthy, I'm
Mm-hmm.
fat, I'm useless, I'm
Mm-hmm.
never going to be able to change this, my body's against me, like all that
Mm-hmm.
rhetoric and narrative. And my weight is important because the number on the scale dictates how worthy I am. And so that was all of it. And like, I'm afraid to stop working out because if I rest, I'm going to gain more weight. And I've already gained this 80 pounds and I don't want to gain anymore. So I had a huge fear around slowing down and taking rest. I didn't trust my body because we've been so conditioned. You have to eat less and exercise more to lose
Yeah.
weight, which is such a lie.
Yeah, I had to
It's a
eat
great
more.
way to stress your hormones out. It's literally like when you have a high cortisol and then you go on a diet and
Mm-hmm.
then you try to over exercise, you
Yeah.
spike your cortisol more.
Oof.
Here's a fun fact: after just 4 days of restriction, you slow your metabolism down.
Wow.
Just 4 days. Think of
So
Mm,
how
if you
many
actually,
years women have been
mm,
restricting, right?
wow.
Yeah.
mm.
So this is, we're not taught this stuff. And then here you are on the diet, the next quick fix, and it's just stressing your body out more. Weight is a protective mechanism. And that's what I started to learn when I was healing is like, wow, my body's hanging on to weight because she doesn't feel safe. So instead of forcing more things that are not helping her feel safe, I need to actually start talking to my body. Hello, body. How are you?
Hello,
Thank you for all
body.
you do for me. And
Yeah.
why? Like, can you tell me, give me any answers? Why do you not feel safe? And she's like, you're going to the gym too much. You're not listening to me.
Mm.
You need to detach from the scale. You need to love me more. Like, this is some of the stuff she started saying in a kind manner, of course, but it was just like I heard it loud and clear. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Wow.
And then she's like, trust me, like, just take a break. And I did. And that's when everything started to shift. And it
Mm.
was like, wow, I need to let my body lead. She's so, so, so intelligent. And you don't need any amount of like education or to see a certain practitioner for a certain amount of time to talk to your body and get answers. You can do it right now. And I guarantee you, you're going to get answers and guidance. You are wise, your body is wise. Trust that.
Amber, I have a
Yeah.
very practical, specific question for somebody who's listening
Mhm.
who says, okay, how did you do that? Did you just talk to yourself in the mirror? Were you sitting in a chair meditating? Were you journaling? Or was it all three? Like when you
None of
say
the
talk
above.
to
So
your
just,
body,
yeah, I
oh,
just
okay,
sat on my
none of
bed
the
and I
above.
closed my eyes and I was just like, okay, body, hello.
Okay,
Can you give me any reasons or any messages as to why you're hanging on to this weight? What do you need? And then it was just like, boom.
all right. And
But you can do it
trusting that
however
what
you
you're hearing.
want. Yeah, like make
Yeah,
it your own way, right? But you got to get quiet though, and you got to be willing to spend a few minutes prioritizing yourself.
right.
Yeah.
Boy, okay,
Yeah.
wait. Can you say that one again? Because I think that may be the number one thing that women have a hard time with. So say
Yeah.
that last line again.
Yeah, you've got to be willing to prioritize yourself and take quiet time for yourself. It is the key piece to healing whatever is going on for you. And I know it feels scary and you feel guilty thinking about doing it, but that is part of your work is to clear the guilt and get comfortable because it will get easier.
Mm. So you're not
And
talking about that 1 minute bathroom break you give yourself when you run to the bathroom. I
No,
just
that is a
wanted to raise.
basic need. You no, I am
no.
you know how many
But
women
that,
don't go pee and they hold their pee? That is not good for
I
your
know,
urinary
wow.
health. We need to be peeing regularly and
right?
like not holding that stuff in. No, the bathroom break does not count as self-care. That is a basic need that you're meeting for yourself. Hydration, eating, going to the bathroom. To me, these are basic needs. We need to start with the foundation of meeting our basic needs, and then we need to build on that and build the self-care and the time for ourselves. Your nervous system gets so ramped up with all your to-dos and how busy you are. And I get women are so busy, but how much of that is being led by unworthiness? I need to prove. I will be abandoned by my family if I put myself first and I don't want to be kicked out of the tribe. Like there is so much
Mm,
tied to our why
Mhm.
mhm,
behind overgiving and being overbooked. But that's going to lead you to burnout. That is going to mess your hormones up so much, which impacts your mood. It impacts your ability to connect with yourself and your loved ones. And if you're so burnt out to the fact that your sex hormones are so low and your thyroid's off, you literally feel nothing, or you go
Mhm.
into anxiety or depression, which can be fully resolved if we look at these root issues and you start prioritizing yourself. And you don't deserve to go to those places.
mm. I wanna. I Shannon's about to say something, but I wanna highlight something you just said.
Mhm.
It can be fully resolved.
Yes, 100%. I see it all
Because
the time.
you're right, but I think a lot of people don't think it can be. They think this is
Yep.
just it, or
It's
especially if they're
it's
in a
not.
burnout situation with
Yep.
caregiving or,
Mhm.
too much or, the world feels like too much right now.
Mhm.
But I wanna highlight what you just said. It can be fully
Yes.
resolved.
Yes, no
Mm,
matter your age, I've witnessed women from 20s to the 80s fully heal, fully resolve because they finally were willing to do the deeper work and prioritize themselves and learn to love themselves. Truly.
Yes.
mm,
Oh, I'm so excited, y'all. I have been
right?
waiting. Y'all, I have been waiting to end 2025 and wrap season 25. And that's what we're doing right now. This is the wrap of season 25. And I love this strong ending, Amber. And what I wanted to go back to with what you said is taking care of yourself. The self care is for you, it's not for the kids, it's not for nobody else. If you say, I'm going to rest so that You is for you first. And this is not it. If you're burnt out, like Christine and Amber were just talking about, if you're there, it's where you are today. And it's important to sit with yourself and realize where you are. That's not a bad thing. But like we talk about a lot, I just want to encourage us, ladies, like we let go of shame. No blame, no shame, no guilt. That's what our narrator, Cecile Armstrong, talks about in her everyday activism. And so whether we're talking about being our own advocate in the medical system, advocating for ourselves in our mind with that critic and the coach and the champion, like who are you going to be today? I just want to give you that space that it is okay to be for you. We
Mhm.
do know that great and amazing self-care does benefit the community. And that's what we're talking about. It's the holidays, everybody's coming. And if you don't have somebody, then hopefully you have the social wellness to reach out and get what you need. But for you to be okay is enough. And then
Mhm.
everybody has more room to be their
Mhm.
fullest best self. And that's one of my goals of the impact of our podcast. So thank you so much for sharing today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah.
It's so important.
And we talk about maintaining it, right? I was going to go to wisdom and action. Were you going to say something else, Christine, before we
I
go there?
just wanted, before we go to wisdom in action, I want to
Yeah.
ask Amber if there's anything else she want our listeners, like if they are motivated by this conversation, or it sparks something in them and they're like, I want to know more. Like,
Mhm.
how do they connect with you, Amber? What's the first step?
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, I love that you have this many episodes of your podcast. I'm already
Hmm.
like, ooh, I got some
Yeah.
people I want to recommend this to,
It's
because I know
Mhm.
good.
that's a free resource.
Yeah.
What else would you say around that?
Yeah, so 100% the podcast first, the No Sugarcoating podcast. It's available everywhere. And then I have a free female hormone mastery workshop happening on Wednesday, November 12th. So come and join. You can watch the replay if you can't come live, but we're going to be talking about in depth more of the things I talked about today. And then if you're wanting to explore support, testing, going on the journey to address and overcome these things we've been talking about today, you can book a 30-minute complimentary consultation. It's on Zoom. And you fill out a quick intake, and we can talk about what's going on for you and just see if a different approach could be supportive of what you need. So those are some of the best places to reach out and connect. And then I'm on social media, Instagram primarily, and it's my name, Amber Romaniuk, Romaniuk.
And before we go to wisdom in action, one more question.
Mhm.
If they want to sign up for the hormone challenge, where do they do that?
The hormone workshop?
Hormone workshop.
Yeah, so they can go to amberapproved.ca and it's on the online programs page. They can also just send me an email at info@amberapproved.ca and say, I want the free workshop link, and it will be there. It's in my link tree on Instagram. It's everywhere.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Absolutely. So every week we ask our guests, what are they doing for themselves, right? We do a lot for other people. You've talked about the amazing resources and things that you've compiled for everybody that works with you. But when we talk about physical wellness and Amber, what are you being intentional about this week?
Ooh, yep. So I actually just before this came out from my 15 minutes of bare feet in the grass, and it's like only
Nice.
45 degrees here and the ground
Okay.
is frozen. So I'm like
Yeah.
committed to that until
Okay.
there's snow. So that, my morning hot and cold shower and lymphatic routine, my meditation, and as always, which it's very easy now, which is just like mindful eating, choosing to nourish the body, and being really present with my husband and the people around me when I'm interacting, and just trying to be as mindful as possible and in gratitude for all the blessings in our lives.
I love that.
Ooh,
So, and what
yum.
I've been working on is because I can do a really long list sometimes, right? And then it's like, ooh, was there any action in that? You gave a lot of action, right? And if I say a hashtag, what I hear is hashtag nourish the body. If you could put all that in one hashtag, what would you say?
Yeah, pretty much this, and like prioritize, hashtag prioritize yourself.
Okay. I like
Mm.
that too.
Yeah.
And I heard hashtag be intentional. So I
Yeah,
think
Mm,
that's the one I'm going to do this week.
I
And
like
I've
it.
got to bring back the hashtag love your liver.
I like it. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Try hot and cold shower, ladies. It'll change your life
I
for
was
the
going to ask
better.
you
I'm
about it. So
telling
can
you.
you walk us through what you do? You said hot and cold and you do that in one shower or you split it
Yep.
up? How do you do it?
Yeah, so essentially, and why this is good is it boosts dopamine, your mood boost, one of your mood boosting feel good neurotransmitters, gives you more energy, helps clear tension, headaches. It's good for so many things.
Mm,
So I go in the shower and I do my warm like I always do. And then I do a longer, but you can go shorter. So like a 30-second cycle of cold. If you need to spend a couple weeks, getting more used to it, like wean yourself into it. 30 seconds of cold and then back to warm for 30 seconds, 3 or 4 times over. And then the more accustomed you get to it, go colder, go colder. Be willing to get uncomfortable because you will experience a bigger mood boost, better energy, better mental clarity. And that is going to help your lymphatic system get moving really well, which is your garbage removal of the body. That will help your bowels. It'll help everything. So give it a try because it changed my life.
Do you do that every day?
Yeah, every morning.
Okay. I
You don't have
used
to do
to
it
do
every
that
day, but
years ago, and I loved it, and my body loved it. And now I just tend to do the spa thing where I go occasionally and do hot
mhm,
cold plunges, which my
yeah,
body adores,
yeah.
especially for inflammation. But you have challenged me to go back to the once a day. It's hard in
Mm-hmm.
the winter, though. I have to
I
say, I
know.
was such
But
a
then you go back
weenie.
to the warm. So you
Let's
finish
see. Oh,
warm.
you
Have
finish
your
warm. You
Oh
don't
yeah.
finish cold.
No, no.
Okay.
And keep
Okay.
your favorite essential oils in the shower and you can make it like a little
Mhm.
spa time, right? Like make it special.
Oh, I
I
love
love
that.
that. What are
Yeah.
your favorite essential oils?
Ooh, rose for self-love and it's also great for the thyroid and
Okay.
inflammation. Peppermint, orange is great for abundance and eucalyptus. I just feel like it's
Mhm.
very like good for the lungs and
Yeah.
everything.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I hear yours, Christine. You said love your liver. Mine, ladies, is oh, I love what you said. Was it let yourself rest?
Mhm.
You were talking
Mm.
about the rest. And I'm
Mhm.
a let yourself rest. You know, it's the end of season 25. We're about to celebrate 5 years at the beginning of next year, so that'll be in season 26.
Nice.
And it was really interesting what you said, Amber, about if I stop, I'll gain weight. I was like, wow. I hadn't thought that somebody might think that, you know. And so
Mhm.
when we're talking about unworthiness, and that's what her episode, what was it earlier? I think it was 1 6, no, I think it was 618. I
Mhm.
was listening to, and it was about unworthiness. Um, we were doing the audiobook launch today, and I was thinking about Dr. Amanda Kemp's chapter, and it's at the end of volume 2. And she's talking about how she had to learn that it's okay to go slow. And when we talk about the focus of weight in Christine's chapter, how we usually think about it in a vain way with physical wellness, I hadn't thought that we're going so fast thinking that we're going to lose the results that we had, when instead it helps it be sustainable.
Yeah.
Without it, it's not even sustainable. So I hope that this helps. Thank you so much for being here, Amber. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise. I've really gotten a lot from it.
Oh, thank you for having me, ladies. This is truly a pleasure.
Yes.
Well, I'm signing up for your workshop. I
Yeah,
haven't
it's
looked
going
at
to be
my
great.
calendar, so I don't know if I'll be there live, but I will either be there live or listen to the replay.
Yeah.
And I know a
Hmm.
lot of people my age, I'm in my 50s, that
Yeah.
are, we just weren't taught these things.
No.
And so it's like, I'm so grateful to have you as a resource and to
Yeah.
be connected. And I know our listeners are going to be grateful too. And
Hmm.
thank you for your
My
time
pleasure.
and your expertise and your
Yeah.
care
My
around this
pleasure.
subject. So,
Truly.
Hmm.
I want everyone to learn. So my pleasure. Whatever you ladies need, I'm here.
Thank
aw,
you.
thank you.
Looking forward to staying
We
connected.
might be hitting you up for that
Oh, we
Yeah.
because
will. And
we,
follow the podcast and everything.
Mhm.
What were you
right?
going to say, Christine?
No, I was thinking about our summit we're talking about next year. We may have to
Oh,
Mm.
call
yeah.
Amber to come and speak to all our
Oh.
ladies. So,
Oh, Amber. And that's
right,
big because we've been trying to figure out who we want there. So
Ooh,
I
well,
hope
I
we
right.
would
can.
love to.
All
Okay.
right.
We'll put you
All
on the
right. More
list.
shall be
Thank you.
revealed. Thank you so
Absolutely. Thank
much.
you.
Oh
That's
my
good,
gosh.
Christine.
Like Amber's one of
Yeah.
those ones that I'm like, we need another hour. Like,
Yeah, and we'll have time. We'll continue. And again, we'll stay connected. That's what I'm looking forward to 2026 is our community and furthering the connections between our guests, our narrators, our listeners. Amber has what 1.9 million downloads. We have over 36,000, like in between 36,000 and 100 1.9 million. We have a lot of resources and stuff that we could share already.
right?
So I'm excited about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things I heard her say was about celebration and gratitude. And
Hmm.
I didn't want to close today's show without giving a shout out. I was working on a newsletter when we were doing our pre stuff. So it's going to go
Yeah.
out to all our folks that are on our mailing list. But
Hmm.
I wanted to tell folks about what we discovered today.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
It was so fun. So I was actually looking for something else in my little
Hmm.
ADD brain. I couldn't remember where it was, so I Googled myself.
Hmm.
And what popped up is that we were named as one of the top 100 wisdom podcast on the
Yes.
Million Podcast.
Hmm.
And we're actually sitting at number 45, which was like,
45.
what? So
Yes.
fun. Didn't even
Thank
know
you.
this thing existed. And here we
Yeah.
are.
Here we
And
are.
so I wanted to give gratitude for that. I
Hmm.
wanted to give gratitude for our audiobook is now available.
Yes,
We're
it
going to be
is.
back here live in about 30 minutes to
Hmm.
celebrate with some of our authors and see what
Hmm.
they're up to.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say thank you. 207 episodes, almost 5 years. We're
Hmm.
going to be off. We're going to take about 3 weeks off
Yeah.
for a couple of various life things and for a rest.
Yeah.
And
And the holidays. Yeah.
yeah, I just want to say thank you. And I'm so grateful. And I'm grateful to our listeners. I'm grateful to our guests. I'm grateful to you. I'm Sati. We're always grateful for you.
Yes. Thank
Like,
you.
just, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, ditto. Of course, you're welcome. And thank you for all your continuous support. We have family anniversaries, and one of those coming up is you and Joe. And we talk about Joe a lot and how much he listens to the show. So I
Happy
appreciate.
anniversary, Joe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
happy anniversary to the Gotros, and thank you for everything you've done. It's for us to extend our impact and help people get connected to the resources. We've been talking all year about jobs, resources being pulled, everything's being pulled. We're trying to plug things in. And so thank you for helping me hold space and doing that for 207 episodes.
Right? Woo woo.
Yeah. Whoop whoop.
Yeah.
Wrapping season 25. Okay, y'all, like we said, we are getting ready for this launch, okay? We have volume 2 audiobook. You've been waiting. We know you've been too busy to read the book, and that's okay. Okay, we have new narrators, new stories, and we're excited for you to listen. So, mark your platforms wherever you are. We're going to go live here again for 6:30. You can join us live in the comments just like you can for the podcast every week, and come talk to some of our ladies so you can tap in with them personally and see what they were thinking about for you when they wrote their chapters and narrated it for you. We'll be back again in 3 weeks. So that actually puts us at December 3rd. We'll be coming back live at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See y'all soon. In the meantime, be well, be wise, be whole. Peace.